99 teams to go. Wow, we're already down in the double digits. 99 teams to go in my road to predict all 131 teams this college football off season. And we're now moving on to the TCU Horned Frogs. This was a team last year that definitely left some things to be desired out there on the football field. Definitely a TCU team that, was needing of some change at the head coaching position, and they got it. Sonny Dykes, the former SMU head coach, is going to come over and coach this TCU team, one of the better offensive minds as a head coach in college football, and he'll be bringing that scheme and everything to TCU. This is the TCU team, again, that left a lot to be desired last year, so can this TCU team exceed expectations in year one of the Sonny Dykes era, or will this TCU team need a couple years to sort of find their rhythm and regain some top status in the Big 12 Conference? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. And for TCU fans out there, but any fans in general, but TCU fans specifically for this video, you guys are going to know your favorite team a lot more than me. So if you do want to correct me on something, feel like I glossed over something you want to add on to the video, anything like that, leave it in the comment section down below. Be happy to read through what you guys have to say. Let's go ahead and talk about TCU in 2022, my 6th ranked team in the Big 12 coming into 2021, and again, left a lot to be desired. Last year, the TCU only went 5-7 last year with a 3-6 record in conference. The offense was not the problem for TCU last year. It ranked second in the Big 12 in terms of yards per game, with around 430.7 yards per game and around 29 points per game. It was the defense that let this team down, and which is really unusual in terms of the Gary Patterson era, because this is a team that, was led by their defense. So 461 yards and 35 points allowed last year by this TCU defense. That just can't happen. Those are some horrendous numbers that definitely need some improving. And they hope to be able to get that with their new head coach in Sonny Dykes. Again, the former SMU coach coming over to the rival at TCU to try to, turn this TCU program around a little bit. Ooh, very, very interesting storylines. That battle for the Iron Skillet this year should be a lot of fun. However, Sonny Dykes is going to have to deal with some losses on the offensive side, and especially some of the better talent on the offensive side. So Zach Evans, the only 5-star to my knowledge that TCU has ever brought in to their program, had 648 yards, 5 touchdowns, was that leading rusher last year, and is now gone. Is no longer a TCU Horned Frog. He has transferred out of the program. You also have wide receiver J.D. Spielman, the former Nebraska prospect, never really got it going in a TCU uniform, but he is no longer on the team this season. And then when you look at the defensive end as well, again, you heard their defensive numbers. They just weren't that great last year, and they're losing a lot of top defensive talent. Oshwan Mathis was tied for the team lead in sacks with 4. TJ Carter was their second leading tackler last year. They're also losing talented guys like Kari Coleman, Corey Bethley, and LaKendrick Van Zant as well. So definitely a lot of talent leaving this TCU defense to a defense that just wasn't that great last year, and they're losing what, in my opinion, are some of their better and also some of their more experienced players there as well, who are transferring out to other programs. Or maybe just moving on from football in general. But when you look at some of the talent that's coming back here, a lot of people seem to think the quarterback battle is a done deal, but not so fast, because Max Dugan and Chandler Morris, I think, are in a deeper quarterback battle than a lot of people think. So Dugan, I'll probably use both, and I apologize. Whichever one is correct, you guys can let me know. But Dugan had 2,048 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Morris had 695 yards with 3 touchdowns, no picks in his limited playing time, and they're both hovering right around the same completion percentage. But things seem to be coming out that Chandler Morris is starting to make some moves. I would still go with Dugan as that starting quarterback to start out with, And just he is the more experienced option, of course, and for a new head coach coming in, you're probably going to want to end up going with the more experienced option at the quarterback position. But we'll see. It'll be an interesting battle for sure. Imani Bailey is a transfer running back coming into this program to help replace the loss of Zach Evans. And they also had a commit from former Arkansas running back Traylon Smith to transfer this program, but he has since now going to go play for another Texas program in UTSA, trying to replace Sincere McCormick there. We'll talk about them when we get to UTSA. But Kendre Miller comes back for this team. He was the second leading rusher last year with 623 yards and 7 touchdowns for the Horned Frogs last season. So definitely talent coming back in the backfield, as well as the wide receiver position. Quentin Johnson coming back, as well as Darius Davis and Tay Barber. Those were your 3 leading receivers from a season ago, with Quentin Johnson having by far the most touchdowns on the team with 6. You also return a couple tight ends that can help boost that offense as well. And on the defensive side, still some good talent coming back, like Dylan Horton, Terrell Cooper. D. Winters was the leading tackler last year, also tied for the team lead in picks with cornerback Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, who also returns. You also get back guys like Nook Bradford, C.J. Caesar, Bud Clark. There's still talent on this TCU defense. Don't get me wrong, Terrence Cook's another name there as well. So definitely got some things to look forward to if you are a TCU fan. This is a pretty talented roster. Moving on now, as we look at this TCU schedule, they start out with a road game against Colorado. Yeah, so a road game against Colorado to kick off their season. And that could be a fairly interesting game. Definitely is, definitely is a team that is trying to get on the up and up. Tarleton State, yeah, not really a big threat there. TCU. The game for the Iron Skillet, they're on the road against SMU. That is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch now with Sonny Dykes going on the road to play his former team in SMU. And what's weird about this TCU schedule is their bye week is very early. So they do have a bye week before that game against SMU. And then all the way down the line there, they have Big 12 games right after that. So definitely not a place you want your bye week. In terms of the Big 12 game slate, you got home games against Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and Iowa State to end out the season. Road games against Texas, Baylor, West Virginia, and Kansas. So let's go ahead and dive into this TCU schedule a little bit. Again, kind of talked about it. Colorado, a team that's losing a lot of pieces, going to look to try to rebuild this program. We'll see what happens with Colorado this year, but should be an interesting little road game for TCU to kick off the season. Again, you have your bye week before you go play the game against SMU. And what a game, an interesting game I think that's going to be with Sonny Dykes coming back as now the head coach of TCU. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that game goes. And I'm even going to slightly lean towards TCU in this one. Coming off the bye week, they're going to have this team prepared to go on the road. SMU at the end of the day may prove to be more talented, have the better roster, things like that. But with the talent that's on this TCU team and with Sonny Dykes maybe having a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, I like TCU in that one. I know a lot of people are picking SMU, and I could see the Mustangs absolutely winning that. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I am picking TCU to win that game. You also got home games, again, conference play against some of the better teams in the conference, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. That could be the Big 12 championship game right there between those two schools. So definitely interesting matchups there. On the road at Kansas, watch out for that one because Kansas definitely going to be a more talented team than they usually are. On the road at West Virginia, watch out for that one as well. On the road against Texas and Baylor. You get Texas Tech at home, but on the road against Texas and Baylor, definitely also going to be some pretty interesting games for TCU. I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based outlook to help me predict the team's record. So if the game is in red, I really don't see you winning the game. If the game's in orange, you're still probably not going to win the game, but hey, it's college football and upsets can happen. Games in yellow are your 50-50 or upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games where you should probably win, but watch out for the team on the other side of the ball, and games in green you're good to win. So Tarleton State, again, I think they win that one. On the road at Kansas, I am going to lean towards TCU. but Kansas is absolutely more than capable of winning games in conference play this season. So watch out for that Kansas team. That's going to be a fairly tricky road game that I don't think a lot of TCU fans are going to see coming. At home, or excuse me, on the road against Colorado. 2 is also in yellow-green. Again, Colorado going to try to rebuild that program. I see TCU being able to go in there and get the early season win. There are only 2 games in orange here, and that's on the road at Texas. Frankly, they have just made too many improvements to not improve, pretty much. So Texas, they're going to be a better football team in 2022. I can tell you that. And then Baylor, of course, the Big 12 champions. I still think that's going to be a very solid football team as well. So TCU going on the road to play that Baylor team might be a little bit tricky to play the Baylor Bears on the road. But when you look at all these games in yellow, I mean, Oklahoma State, by virtue of you have the game at home, and this could be, again, another pretty good TCU offense. The thing that TCU needs to work on this year, though, is their defense. And that defense has got to take some steps forward if TCU is going to want to maybe speed up this process with Sonny Dykes, maybe by a season or 2, right? I think it might take a couple years for Sonny Dykes to really get acclimated and let TCU get back on the map, back on the top 25, everything like that. But this is still a group with solid talent. I could see them pulling off upsets at home against some of the better teams like Oklahoma State. Maybe if they're good enough, they go on the road and pull off a win at Texas. But they also got to watch out for some of those road games, right? On the road at SMU, on the road at Kansas, on the road at West Virginia. Don't sleep on any of those games because they are going to be tough ones for TCU to go on the road and try to get those wins. I do think out of those 3, TCU wins 2 of them. Because I am predicting them to beat Kansas, predicting them to beat SMU right now. I'll tell you that. And while I don't do game by game here, I will tell you that I think TCU is going to win, lose some combination of games, and wind out with a 500 record. I know some people are pretty high on this TCU team, but I think, again, maybe give Sonny Dykes 1 year. I think this is going to be a very solid football team going into 2022, but maybe give Sonny Dykes a year. And kind of let him figure some stuff out. This defense has also got to take some massive steps in the right direction for TCU to be back as a top 25 program all year long. But hey, this is still a team loaded with a lot of talent. And I think TCU, if everything really works out this year, I can be really high on this team. I'm high on the talent that is on this team. So 9-3, I think, is that absolute ceiling. And yeah, they could miss a bowl game there as well, but I don't think it'll be by much this season. So that is TCU in 2022. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, everything like that. And remember to play hard. But tailgate harder, TCU. Going back to a bowl game. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.